So back in 2025, one of the most iconic car brands on the planet got brought to its knees, and not by a problem on the assembly line, but by a digital one. We're talking about the Jaguar Land Rover cyber attack, and really, it's a perfect case study in how modern threats can shut down an entire global industry. So let's break down exactly how it all went down.
I mean, it's a pretty wild question when you think about it, right? How do you take this behemoth of a company with factories all over the world, a massive supply chain, and just stop it cold? And the answer, well, it's not some big loud explosion. It's way, way quieter than that.
And that right there is where this whole story kicks off, with the sudden, kind of shocking, and almost total shutdown of everything Jaguar Land Rover does. I mean, the lights literally went out on their entire operation.
So just picture it, late 2025. Suddenly, assembly lines grind to a halt. The logistics systems, they're just frozen. The entire digital brain of the company, the enterprise system that runs everything from building a new Defender to shipping it across the ocean, it just goes black. It's like a digital crime scene.
And this timeline here, wow, it really shows you just how fast this all spiraled out of control. It all kicked off with just a little blip on the radar in late August, some weird activity in their IT systems. But boom, by early September, JLR had to make the call to basically pull the plug on themselves just to stop the bleeding. Production just stopped. And we're not talking about a 24-hour fix here. This went on for weeks.
Okay, so after all that initial chaos, the dust starts to settle a bit and we start to get the official story. Let's dig into what Jaguar Land Rover actually said happened.
So their official response was pretty textbook, actually. They were fast, they saw the weird activity, they took their systems offline to try and fence it in, and they kicked off a full investigation. But here's the really important part. They made it clear that no customer data was confirmed stolen. And that's a huge clue, because it tells us what the attackers weren't really interested in.
Right, so if they weren't grabbing customer credit cards and addresses, what was the point of all this? Well, the goal was simple, and it was brutal. Total operational paralysis. They went right for the company's heart. Its ability to actually build cars, sell cars, and ship cars. This wasn't a smash and grab for data. It was about causing maximum chaos.
Okay, but just when you think the story is starting to make sense, a new piece gets thrown on the board, a total curveball that added a whole new layer of confusion.
Suddenly, this hacker who calls themselves Ray just shows up on social media, and they're claiming they hit JLR with a completely separate, a second attack, even posting what they said was proof. You can imagine, this just confused everything. Is this person for real? Is it related? What is going on?
This is where it's super important to separate things out. You've got two totally different stories happening at the same time. Over here, you have the real, confirmed incident. JLR said it happened, it was all over the news, and it's why the factory shut down. And then over here, you've got this sketchy social media claim from Ray, completely unverified. This is a classic problem in cybersecurity.
And that brings us to a really key idea in this world. Threat intelligence noise. This Rady business? It's the perfect example. It's a bunch of noise that's designed to get attention and distract everyone from the real, validated threat that investigators are trying to solve.
All right, so let's push all that noise to the side for a minute and get back to the main event, the attack that actually shut the place down. Who was behind it?
Well, the security researchers, they pretty quickly started pointing fingers at a really well-known group of cybercriminals, sometimes called ShinyHunters, sometimes Scattered Spider. And you gotta understand, these guys aren't just some kids in a basement. They are pros who specialize in hitting huge companies just like this.
So how'd they pull it off? Well, here's the playbook, and it's pretty clever. They didn't use some crazy exploit to blast their way in. Nope, they just tricked an employee. That's step one, social engineering. They get someone to open the door for them. Once they're in, they start grabbing usernames and passwords, moving quietly from one system to the next. And then, once they have the keys to the kingdom, they just shut it all down.
And this quote right here, it nails it. It really gets to the core of how these guys operate. The key takeaway is that this wasn't some super fancy malware attack. It was an attack on people. They exploited human weaknesses and identity security, not just a bug in some software.
Now, an attack of this size, it doesn't just stop when the computers turn back on. Oh no, the aftermath is like a stone thrown in a pond. The ripples just keep spreading. Let's look at what that actually meant.
So the first, most obvious ripple, the assembly lines just stopped for weeks. Those massive factories, completely silent. I mean, you can't even calculate the kind of money that's lost every single day that happens. And this This shows you the domino effect perfectly. The factory stop, which means the truck stop. No parts come in, no cars go out. And of course, that means the dealerships get hit next. They've got empty showrooms and nothing new to sell. The entire chain, from the first screw to the final sale, just seized up.
And the final bill for all of this, you guessed it, a massive, massive financial hit. You've got the cost of all that lost production, plus the huge expense of just cleaning up the mess, the investigation, the recovery. It all adds up to an astronomical number.
So, what are the big lessons here? What can we learn from this whole mess? Well, for one, it's crystal clear the auto industry is a huge target. Second, securing people's passwords and identities is every bit as critical as having a strong firewall. Also, you have to give JLR credit. Their fast response to contain the breach probably saved them from even worse damage. And yeah, it's a big reminder that you have to be super careful about what you believe online. Not every claim is a real threat.
And all of this leaves us with one big, final question to think about. As our world gets more and more connected, this attack on Jaguar Land Rover really forces us to ask, what's the biggest threat? Is it the code, the firewalls, or is it us, the people?